Hello, now guilty is our word for today, because today we're going to take a look at some of the recent MrBeast drama and also the ones regarding his crypto scam that made him look really shady. Because coffeezilla, or should I say Voidzilla, the person closest to achieving enlightenment, the person that can be considered to be a living embodiment of the word journalist. All sarcasm aside, Mr. Coffeezilla is a very good journalist unless you're the one he's investigating. So Mr. Coffee and also Mr. Murahar from SomeOrdinaryGamers made a video reacting to MrBeast's response to the crypto allegations, and let's just say it's not what I expected, because watching Mr. Oompaville's video, it feels like MrBeast is innocent. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, he seemed genuine. He seemed like he's just made a lot of mistakes. He made it feel like that he's just dumb. And personally, and you would see this later, that I think Mr. Oompa went a bit soft on MrBeast. And despite Mr. Oompa giving him an out multiple times, MrBeast just won't accept valid criticisms. Like he would rather rehire Delaware than accept those crypto criticisms. And after watching Mr. Voidzilla's video on him, it made me submit to the devil that is whispering in my ears that's saying that MrBeast truly is looking super guilty on a lot of things that's alleged to him. Because in my eyes, MrBeast is anything but dumb. Because you don't get that big just being an ignorant bitch that got lucky. Now, he might not be Einstein level of intelligence, he's not pumping out theories of relativity left and right, although he is allegedly subtly pumping crypto left and right and cashing out on it, but we'll get into that. And I strongly believe that he knew that there was an RSO in his company, no matter how much Soggy Cereal tries to downplay that on he's just dumb because he's young card. And props to Mr. More Pegasus here for also pointing this out.
Also, did nobody question this? So at the start, he says that there's plenty of videos where they didn't cover Delaware's face. Yes, obviously they didn't, because they didn't know he was an RSO. But then they randomly started covering his face. So why did they do that? Is that because they found out he was an RSO? Because then you should just remove him rather than cover his face. Don't you think so? I don't know, I'm making speculation there, but I can't believe he didn't even mention that in the video. Like, everyone's like, oh, this is debunked. Like, what? I mean, good job by Soggy for pointing it out, but there needs to be some pushback as well, instead of just blindly believing everything what these employees say.
Mr. More Pegasus took the words right out of my mouth. Like, there are 3 possible reasons that I can think of on why they covered his face. Number 1 is maybe he is super shy, or maybe he has a gargantuan size pus-filled zit that doesn't want to be seen on video, or number 2 is that they actually knew at that point that he was an RSO. And number 3 is nothing. Just want to be like Rey Mysterio or something. And also the illegal lotteries, where all sides agree that MrBeast is not doing illegal lotteries, mostly, just one, but he is still doing some shady predatory behavior towards his young audience, which is ass.
However, I do agree that it's very scummy and manipulative advertising in my opinion.
In the entirety of Mr. More Pegasus's video, I agree with him 100%, especially the part where he said that Soggy Cereal's video isn't as good as people thought it were. I mean, yeah, the quality is good, but considering it as the holy grail of debunking is dog shit in my opinion.
But yeah, people treated this video like the best video on YouTube, the holy grail, and it did introduce new info and prove that Dogpack got a lot of stuff wrong, but so did Soggy. He just took the word of MrBeast employees as gospel.
Because first, when Soggy Cereal released his video, he didn't mention anything about him directly receiving a benefit from the MrBeast team for his video.
You obviously flew to America, right?
Yeah.
Did you cover those costs yourself, or did MrBeast in any way pay?
Since it was last moment and very expensive, Dustin, as far as I know, paid for those, and not on a MrBeast card. They said that it was on the card of like literally his name. I want to be completely transparent about that.
Was that said in the video, or is it somewhere in your description, just to really get it clear that that happened?
No, it's not in the video.
I mean, I'm asking for like a kind of like a journalistic standard or something, I guess.
Mr. Journalistic Integrity left out that he was literally paid by one side, and that obviously makes him very biased.
Hey, it's not like there's such a thing as investigative integrity. It's not like there's such a thing as investigative integrity.
Like, you don't just forget to include that in your video, because as someone who criticizes most of the commentary YouTubers on having no investigative integrity, he should have done better. he should have declined that offer and proceeded to do an online interview with all of them, like do it in a non-biased way. And his reason of the idea of them possibly having other employees off camera, or the possibility for employees to have a script in front of them with possible Q&A they expect me to ask, is such dog shit. Like, why would you want a personal interview if you already did the online interview early in your video? Because I would understand that if he did all of his interviews in person, but no, he just wanted to add IRL interviews just because? And only to ask most questions on how much of a living dog shit Dogpack is?
But I will say it was a little uncomfortable with just me and him in the office. He seemed pretty disinterested. He gave weird vibes for sure. Yeah. And
literally, what is the point of any of this? You've barely asked anything relevant at all.
And I'm not devaluing all of his video, but learning that he received a direct benefit from one side and didn't properly disclose it in his video and only disclosed it when he got called out, and realizing that most of his evidence came from exclusive information, insider information from MrBeast's employee that no one has access to, then acting whole high and mighty on having the best investigative integrity threw me way off. Because let's take a look on the top 3 YouTube investigators that I look up to and would base my ethics on. Number 1, Mr. Coffeezilla. Number 2, Mr. Mudahar from SomeOrdinaryGamers. And number 3, Carl Jobst. And can you guess what those 3 had in common? Yup, that's right, they didn't get any benefit from the ones they're investigating. And he got properly cooked in his pinned comment, because although he was never paid to do that video, people are gonna think it that way because you know how the internet goes, right? Plus, he didn't debunk anything, it's just hearsay on top of hearsay. Like in the faking of the videos, and in one of the examples like the 100 boys and 100 girls video, like yeah, some of them are not random subscribers because they had to improvise due to COVID, but would it really be that big of a deal to just disclose that in the video? Like, the point is, what Soggy and Dogpack were saying are not facts. These are all allegations. You cannot fact check an allegation with another allegation. Like, Soggy got his sources, which is the current MrBeast employees, and Dogpack also got his sources, which is the former MrBeast employees. And I think both of them are extremely biased. One wants to cut MrBeast's wiener off, and one wants to ride it, maybe. Now, the only things that had proof in my opinion is the illegal lotteries and the things that Dogpack got wrong, like the James Warren and the CP allegations, which has already been debunked way before Soggy made the video. And also, there are some weird actions from MrBeast when he tried to DM multiple creators to react to Soggy's video defending and criticizing him. And I say criticizing because if I didn't watch more Pegasus's video, I wouldn't have known that there is a criticism towards MrBeast because it's too far in the end of the video. And the video just came off as Soggy basically saying that Dogpack is the literal garbage incarnate, and more Pegasus and other commentary channels, misinformation. I mean, you can smell shit when it gets close, like heavily promoting a video from a quote-unquote investigator that clearly rides his meat, partially, just a tip maybe, then the other investigator that made a video that also did a good job investigating MrBeast's crypto shenanigans. So why not promote Mr. Coffeezilla's video? They both did a good job at investigating, plus Mr. Coffeezilla didn't even call you a scammer, so he's safe, right? So why didn't you made him interview you about the crypto stuff? Well, is it because you're choosing an easier boss to fight? That's why you decided Mr. Oompa should interview you? Because the most frustrating thing as a MrBeast fanboy in the past is seeing the one you idolized being involved in some shady crypto dealings. So let's take a look at Mr. Coffee and Mr. Mudahar's reaction to MrBeast's underwhelming response to the allegations. Now, I don't want to talk about everything, just the part where there's some contradictions in his statements and some really bad ones.
I obviously did not press the buttons, like I've been saying. I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee, like I said on that podcast, called me and a bunch of other people, said crypto punks were the next big thing. I thought it was pretty crazy, but you know, the first thing I did right after that is just called the guy in charge of the fund who invested my money and it's other people's money as well, and just said, hey, Gary Vee seemed very passionate about these punks. You should look into it. If it makes sense, buy it. And so, you know, he did the research, picked what punks to buy, bought them. That's kind of high level how it went. But, you know, if he was like, oh, this is a shit investment, then he wouldn't have bought them. So
All right, I cannot tell you how weird this answer is in hindsight. MrBeast is on Twitter saying, I bought this CryptoPunk. He's on the podcast saying, I bought multiple CryptoPunks.
I bought a bunch.
He's on the podcast saying, I sold.
I've already sold quite a few of them.
I rolled the money into VFriends.
So then I rolled the money into VFriends.
And then even more crazy, he says he specifically bought certain CryptoPunks because he liked their attribute, like the cigarette one. He's like, I like the cigarette CryptoPunk.
The cigarettes, because I thought that was an interesting attribute.
But here he's saying, oh, I didn't even know which ones to buy.
I don't know which punks to buy or which ones we should buy if it's a good investment.
Like real special ones.
I had some that like whatever 20, 30x.
We
bought a lot with like the cigarettes because I thought that was an interesting attribute.
Well, which is it? I feel like if he's telling the truth now, then he was just blatantly lying then.
Yeah, that Logan Paul podcast is gonna be the death of him. That scene will forever live in infamy, him admitting to buying a bunch of coins and potentially profiting off of it, especially when a charity is going on, but we'll get into that later. But that podcast, man, it's a curse. Without that podcast, his claims will be significantly believable, and I think he will get away with his shady behavior scot-free. But that podcast happened, then suddenly his claims are being met with pitchforks. And to believe MrBeast, you have to basically trash that Logan Paul's podcast, condemn that shit.
Because you basically have to completely disbelieve what Jimmy says in 2021 to believe this story.
And like his statements are so contradicting that only one of those statements are true. And I personally believe that the Logan Paul podcast is the goose. I believe that statement.
Just replied Super to his tweet. I did not tell people to buy Super.
Wait, no, stop. So first of all, does not answer the question of like, why didn't you disclose it? Such an obvious disclosure. He set up, okay, like first of all, let's back up. Jimmy set up the Super pre-sale thing. That is such a big deal. In his whole thing about like, oh, I barely had anything to do with the fund. The most profitable trading decision this fund ever made was set up explicitly by MrBeast Jimmy Donaldson.
Now you gotta hand it to Mr. Coffee unfairly criticizing MrBeast because this is coming from glazing MrBeast in the past, and he, in his words, speak highly of him in the past, and now he is getting frustrated because of MrBeast constantly dodging accountability, and Mr. Mudahar also echoes the same thing.
So he knows that it's like a weird look optically. Like, bro, nobody is calling you a scammer. It's just take a little bit of that goddamn L that's provided. Simple as that.
And I strongly believe that he knows what he was doing with Super, like doing subtle things to potentially manipulate the market. Like with his following, like if I saw that tweet and I see an angel like MrBeast, and I say that because that's what he was regarded as that time, because of all of what he has done, like I see that he was associated with that, instant invest. Like it doesn't take much for people to trust and blindly follow you. Like take for example the kid who scammed for a bunch of doubloons and Jack Doherty that rug pulled his fans in front of their faces. They blindly trust those dudes and they aren't as big as MrBeast. So can you just imagine on how just one tweet from MrBeast could potentially hint an insider trading?
I mean, you could consider that a mistake at this point. Like that's definitely
And another little context point I think a lot of people are missing. A lot of people who do this kind of stuff do it on low volume coins that like, you know, sell $100,000 a day. So it actually dramatically pumps it and blah, blah. Super is like the 100th biggest crypto coin out there. Super is like a legit coin. It's a legit project that's massive. Like that tweet didn't move the needle for shit or anything.
He just does this thing like, I'm not the worst person in the world. Like he just keeps comparing himself to other people. Just answer the question instead of going like, yes, it was a mistake, but all these other people are way worse than me, but this and this and this and this, and I had nothing to do with it. I just feel like, just own up to it. It's fine.
Like bro, you're not being held at gunpoint. They're not telling you that you're a scammer. Just stop deflecting, let it consume you. And he's like, yeah, it looks bad optically, but there's a lot of people that's more badder than me. Remember CryptoZoo? I mean, I'm actually surprised that he didn't mention Logan Paul in this and being more ass than what he did. Like I get it, it's bad to have any association with shady crypto dealings. Maybe it would not affect his future dealings or it would make him seem mega untrustworthy, I don't know, but man, I get their frustration. Like bro, it's bad especially when you are caught most likely benefiting while doing charity. Because according to the investigation, the TLDR is MrBeast and his team, and they say that because it's his name that is on their partner's portion of the website. So they sold $2 million worth of NFTs. while doing charity, looking like he benefited from it, while being considered the charity guy, and being caught potentially red-handed with that rightfully garnered gargantuan amount of criticism. And MrBeast doesn't accept it, like he would rather eat moldy lunchly than accept that criticism, cause listen to this, he even tried manipulating the puzzle pieces like telling small white lies to undermine what happened.
Eternity gave us NFTs to auction off for Team C's. Only one sold after like a day, I believe, and that was it. And then yeah, it looks like the fund sold like 27 days later. A little bit of Eternity.
He says, "Oh, we sold after the charity. The one NFT sold. Not true." Then he said, "We only sold a few tokens." Also not true. They sold $2 million. And then on top of that, here's where you can actually see the dates of all this stuff. You can see the offer was made on November 2nd. His sale did not happen until December 23rd, 2021. After the fund sold. Oh, we didn't sell anywhere near the charity time. First of all, that's not true. Second of all, it's just literally false, and NFT sold after the fact. So this whole defense of his is based on misinformation.
Like wow, MrBeast profited so much out of crypto, 23 million, that he doesn't understand how large $2 million really is, and it keeps downplaying it like a few coins, a few eternity. Oh my god, and getting that during a charity looks ultra ass. And I love how every time he was about to get into a corner that he would use the fund card to get out of it.
Eternity gave us NFTs to auction off for Team C's. Only one sold after like a day, I believe, and that was it. And then yeah, it looks like the fund sold like 27 days later. A little bit of Eternity.
Why do we have to downplay it so much?
Yeah, it sold $2 million of the earn token.
Yes, obviously. It's like the most obvious comeback.
Yes, the fund did 20.
Oh, now there it is. There's the fund. Hey, the fund did. You know whose name is on Eternity? Not the fund. It's MrBeast.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna play the rest. I'll just play you the clips of Mr. Voidzilla being frustrated because it's just an endless loop. Like MrBeast downplays it, and when he gets back into a corner, he used the fund card. The fund benefited from it, not me. Get any proof? Nah, not me. So please go check out Mr. Voidzilla's video breaking down MrBeast's response and also Mr. Mudahar's video on it. So I'll link it down below. So yeah, I think MrBeast is guilty and shady because in my eyes, he's far from being innocent in all of this. And one thing's for sure, that people are not gonna look at MrBeast the same way again after this. And whenever he does something, there's always gonna be doubt no matter what. Well, I think that's just the internet, I guess. So yeah, I think MrBeast is shady and I don't trust him anymore. So what about you guys? So yeah, that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching. Bye.